How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL live stream. It feels like a long time since we've done one of these over on Twitch. It's been a long time since football's been basically happening, unless you've been watching the African Cup of Nations, which is the title of the stream. Afcon delays Liverpool. Both Salah and Mane will be facing each other in the final, Senegal versus Egypt. That's going to be a very tasty tie, and it will delay them probably for coming back versus Leicester in their next fixture in game week 24. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the dreadful week that I've had in FPL, the transfers that I'm going to be probably making going into game week 24, which is going to help set us up for the double game weeks in 25 and 26, which we'll talk about as well. And we're also going to talk about the predictions that we normally do and differential picks for game week 24 and how we did for game week 23. But before we do that, let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout. So if you don't know already, where have you been? Fantasy Football Scout is a fantastic members area that lets you get all the stats that you need in order to help out your FPL game. There's heat maps, there's comparison tools, fixture ticker, all that sort of stuff. It's fantastic. Make sure to go check it out. If you're watching this on Twitch, where we do the live streams, link is in the About section. If you're watching it over on YouTube, link is in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into it. So that is the team up on the screen. We have a very, very poor game week this week. We're currently on a red arrow. We were around 1,800 or so. So doing really well on the season. But we've already lost 400 places, and that's only going to get worse. Dennis is obviously not going to play in the Burnley game because he is suspended, hence why he has minus points, because he got sent off. And yeah, only I have one assist, and which is the only attacking return I have in my entire team. And then I obviously have Ramsdale's clean sheet with the save and a bonus point, I think it was. So yeah, that was the only saving grace, and everyone has Jota in the top 10k. He's like 97% on, so basically him getting an assist didn't do anything at all. And then just a bunch of twos everywhere, so not really too much to talk about. Overall, FPL has been pretty bad this week, all things considered. But City losing their clean sheet, only getting a draw versus Southampton. Liverpool not keeping their clean sheet. Jota only getting an assist. Bruno not getting anything. Watkins not getting anything. Bowen not getting anything. Rafinha not getting anything. Calvert-Lewin not getting anything and getting booked. And he's probably going to be injured now as well from what we're hearing. Or he is injured at the moment, which is why he's probably not going to play in their FA Cup tie. And will he be back for the Newcastle game if he's... I'm already considering taking him out already because I don't know what Everton's going to look like under Lampard. So we'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see, and potentially go heavy on the hits this week. Maybe a couple, just to sort things out and sort us out for the double game week coming up, the bigger one in 26, and keep our team a little bit in better shape moving forward without having to burn the wild card if we don't have to. We want to use that game week 28 or later if possible. Ideally, we would like to use it in 35 and then bench boost in 36, which is supposedly going to be the big double game week for 36. I think that's where all of the fixtures that are going to be blanking in game week 30 for the FA Cup, which we'll know before the start of game week 28, will be moved into. They'll all be moved into 36. So United, I don't know who they play in game week 30. We can actually potentially check that. Game week 30, United play Liverpool, and I believe Liverpool are still in the FA Cup. So again, that would still be a blank anyway. So not the best fixture there, all things considered. But yeah, so the team not doing great this week. 5.59 million game week rank, which is pretty bad. Also, apologies for being late. The United game ran late, which means I didn't get a shower till later, and everything kind of, I was trying to do it a half an hour earlier, and had the United game finished in regulation when it should have, because United should have won like 6-0 with the amount of chances that they had. I would have been bang on time, probably. But we move on. We move on. But yeah, not really too much to say about the game week this week. Have a lot of problems in the team, but we'll address that when we come to the transfers, as well as talking about the double game weeks. Let's bring up our predictions tweet. I believe that looks like it's getting... have to adjust it a little bit. So this is all of the games so far. Let me adjust the old tweet here. Let me see. Can I move it across? Yes. And I'll make it a little bit bigger. Move it down. So it's in line as much as it can be. There we go. Lovely stuff. So, let's see how we did in the predictions. How did we do in the last few weeks? Well, looks like we've done quite well, actually. So, we missed quite a few weeks over the Christmas period, but we had 16, 6, and 10, which is... The 16 and the 10 are very, very good. Typically, with the normal amount of fixtures, 10 fixtures, we like to get at least one exact score right. And at least 5. So 5 plus the exact score results right. So let's see how we did. And if you don't know how the scoring works, basically it's 3 points if you get the exact score and the result. 1 point if you get just the result but by a different score line. And no points if it's anything else. So, Norwich versus Watford. Watford won 3-0. This was a surprise. I believe I think his name is Sargent, American international. Got himself 2 goals in that one. One of them was an absolutely insane goal. So, we didn't get that one right. We predicted a 1-1 draw. Aston Villa versus Everton, a 1-0 game there. Buendia, the goal scorer with Diaz, the newly signed left-back from Everton, funnily enough, got himself an assist. And the amount of yellow cards in this game was crazy. And if you got Diaz early on, you were rewarded with a nice 12-pointer from him. But we got the result right, 2-1 I predicted, so we get 1 point for that. Wolves v Brentford. Wolves getting themselves a goal. Through Matinho and Neves. Tony getting himself a goal as well. And Wolves just barely edging that one away at Brentford. And we predicted that one correct in terms of the result. We got 1-0 for our prediction, ended up being 2-1. So we get the 1 point for that. This one, however, we did not get right, though. We did not get this one right. Newcastle getting the win. John Joe Shelby getting the goal versus Leeds. Much needed 3 points for Newcastle. We predicted 3-1 Newcastle. We thought both teams don't really know how to defend. Not going to be a tight game. Ended up getting the victory for the Magpies there, but we did not get the correct result or score. So no points for us there. Man United versus West Ham was looking like a draw, and in the very, very last moments, all of the attackers linked up, and Rashford put a tap-in away to secure United in Fergie time the victory 1-0 over the Hammers. We predicted 2-1, so we got 1 point for that as the result was correct, but we didn't get the scoreline right. City versus Southampton, a 1-1 draw. As for Arsenal as well, a 0-0 draw. So 2 draws. We predicted Arsenal to win and City to win. So no points for us there. Not looking great thus far. Liverpool versus Palace, 3-1 in favor of Liverpool. Crystal Palace could have came back into this game. Liverpool were cruising at one point, and then they kind of let it slip a little bit. But we still got the result right. So we got the 1 point there. Leicester versus Brighton, bang on. We predicted a 1-1. We got the exact score, so that's 3 points for us. And then Chelsea and Spurs. Chelsea were just too good for Spurs. 1-1 was our prediction, but Chelsea ended up getting the victory. So we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So just 1 point shy of what we would want. We want one extra result correct here. Burnley versus Watford, we did not predict, as at the time that we did the predictions, they had not been put into this game week. So we'll bypass that. City clean sheet, nothing there. Jose Sa did not get a clean sheet either. Luke Ayling conceded and didn't get any attacking returns. Raheem Sterling, was he a part of the Man City goal? No, he was not. As Laporte to De Bruyne, not great there. And then Leicester, I think Daka did score. He did. So we got one out of our 5 on the differentials, Daka with the goal for Leicester. He looks to be a very, very good player. Probably Vardy's long-term replacement. So, but yeah, all things considered, United getting a much-needed win over someone competing in the top four for them, like with them in West Ham. Norwich getting 3 points versus Watford does not bode well for Watford. Same for Newcastle, because if Brentford losing to Wolves, Newcastle, they bought a few players, whether it be on loan or permanent signings. They could be on their way to getting out of the relegation zone sooner rather than later. Because basically, once they get out of the relegation zone and they stay there for the rest of the season, then they're looking on to next season where they can spend a boatload of cash in the summer, because of the fact that financial fair play probably won't affect them at all, considering they haven't spent money at all. And that's kind of how it works. You kind of get a credit over time where you could just spend more and more. So expect them to spend big if they stay up. So Arsenal, a bit disappointing versus Burnley for them. They would expect it to have gotten 3 points. They're out of all cup competitions, so it's literally just the league for them. Liverpool getting another win. Chelsea showing that they are just that step above Spurs at the moment. And United coming out of this week winners, basically. They got 3 points over West Ham, 2 points over City, 2 points over Arsenal, same amount of points as Liverpool, and 3 points over Spurs, who is probably going to be their main contender, them and West Ham most likely, for that fourth spot, because Chelsea and Liverpool and City should take the top 3 places, but that fourth spot's still available for contention. Now, if we move over for the notepad, I will have to adjust this almost certainly. There we go. Here are the fixtures for game week 24. No, that's game week 30. That is not the right one. Here it's game week 24. I was like, there's a bit too many fixtures there. So this is game week 24. It is a Tuesday deadline, and one thing you will also note, if you have not seen, Chelsea and Brighton do not play in game week 24. This is a blank game week in 24. They do not play because Chelsea is participating in the Club World Cup, so they will not be available to play this game. And then also, Chelsea do not play in game week 25 either. That is also a blank for Arsenal as well, because the Club World Cup takes over these 2 game weeks as they are in quick succession. This is also a double game week for Manchester United and Brighton as well. So Brighton makes up for it. So if you have any Brighton players, keep them for this week and just bench them and then play them the next week, because they have Watford and United both away from home, but still probably worth keeping. Unless they're an injured player or something like that. But let's go through the predictions. As I am a bit late, I did not have time to prep them all. I do my predictions over on the FF Scout community page. I'm just going to bring it up off to the side here as well. I usually retweet it so that we can all see it. Let me see. Tweets and replies. Here we go. The website is fantasyfootballcommunity.com, so make sure to go check that out. And I'm under the community score predictions. Not on the leaderboard, but here are my predictions for the week. So, Newcastle versus Everton. I think personally in this one, I think it's actually going to be quite close. I think Newcastle now got the bit between their teeth. And I just think that they could just trying to take a screenshot here so I can see what I'm doing, so I can minimize that and leave this up on the screen so I can still see the chat. I think that Newcastle at home, they're going to have a little bit more about them. Everton getting a new manager, a couple new signings, still have to yet to gel. I think Newcastle could give Everton a game here. I think that Newcastle do attack well. I think Everton do attack well with the players that they have. They should attack well, but it's about gelling. I think they'll get a result. Everton, I think they'll get probably a point. So that's why I've gone with 1-1. I think that it's going to be there's going to be some missed chances. I think there's going to be a bit of kind of cohesion missing from Everton's side, a bit of sloppiness at the back from Newcastle. Again, getting to know your teammates with Trippier's only just come in recently. Dan Burns come in, Target's on loan as well. So we'll have to see how they kind of play in that one. Newcastle aren't in the FA Cup. I think they got knocked out in the previous round. So they will be waiting to play on Tuesday. So they would have had a long break off. So maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. Can embed the signings into training and that sort of stuff and see what Eddie Howe can do with them. So I went with a 1-1. I think it's going to be quite close. I think it's going to be a lot more missed chances. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a higher scoring draw as well. I just think that both teams probably a little bit lacking the kind of the smoothness, the cutting edge of like kind of knowing your teammates, the telepathic like passing and whatnot. And both teams are out of form as well. Not playing their best stuff. Next we have Watford versus West Ham. I've gone with a 2-0 here. I think West Ham is comfortably the favorites. They should be beating Watford. I think it's usually when West Ham have somewhat of a poor result, they usually bounce back for the most part. Fully fit squad. They don't have Europe to contend with yet, but they should be all good to go for this one. And I think that Watford, I think they're probably going to end up getting relegated personally. I think Newcastle's going to be the one that ends up staying up. And I think it's going to be Watford, Norwich, and probably Burnley that end up going down. But you never know. Burnley might surprise us. And, maybe Everton do get sucked into it. Maybe Leeds get involved or Brentford get pulled back into it. Who knows? Burnley versus Man United. Now, did this prediction before seeing today's game, obviously, but I think that United should have too much for Burnley. I just think that, they should have beat Middlesbrough too, but if United take the chances, Middlesbrough don't have a sniff. The game could have been over at halftime, 3-0, could have been extended to about 6-0. Burnley haven't been the greatest defensively. United have a fantastic record at Turf Moor as well. It's only at Old Trafford that United struggle versus Burnley. So I went with a 2-0 win. De Gea will be back in goal as well. Most likely. Maybe Lindelof comes straight back in over Maguire. Not too sure on there. Can Pogba play 2 games in quick succession? We don't know. Sancho came off injured by the looks of it. Varane came off after 90 minutes. Not sure if that's an injury. So, again, a lot of question marks. I still think United should have too much versus Burnley because of the nature of this fixture tends to favor United quite heavily. Man City versus Brentford. Now, this is Man City at home. This should be very easy for City. They're going to, again, much like the top teams in the world, typically when they have a bad result, they come back and they do really well. So I expect them to come back. I don't think Pep Guardiola would have been happy with only scoring 1 goal, although he said it's the best game they played so far this season. Not too sure about that, but he knows a lot more about football than I do. But I think he'll be a lot happier with a 3-0 victory, which is what I'm going with my prediction. Norwich versus Crystal Palace. Now, this is a bit of an interesting one. Norwich coming off a very good win, going into the winter break with high spirits. Palace, though, very, very good, very solid. Gallagher has been fantastic for them this season. Very young back line. They've been swapping goalkeepers recently, which is a bit interesting. We'll get onto that because I have Guaita. But I think they should have too much for Norwich. They play fantastic stuff. Norwich will try to frustrate them, and I think Palace will show how good they are. I think they keep a clean sheet in this one as well. And I'm going to go with 2-0 in favor of Patrick Vieira's Eagles. Spurs versus Southampton. Now, this is a tricky one because I think that Southampton do have a chance to upset here, especially with Spurs coming off a loss versus Chelsea. And Conte still hasn't really figured out the right pieces. He's brought in a couple of players, one more of a defensive-minded midfielder, one more of an attacking-minded, like wide player slash front man in Kulusevski. I think I pronounced that right. So I think Spurs should win this game. They are at home. So I've gone with a bit of a closer score than the Palace-Norwich game. I've gone with a 2-1 because I think Southampton will frustrate and can get at least a goal in this one. I think Spurs will ultimately just edge it out and get the victory. Aston Villa versus Leeds. I think this one it might be a little bit closer. I think Leeds will probably have a little bit. Leeds like playing against teams that typically play, good football. Newcastle, they were very attacking, but don't play the most attractive football. Kind of park the bus a lot at various points of the game, although to no great effect. I think Leeds had the chance to potentially get a goal in that. I know they didn't score at all, but I remember Rodrigo had a chance. I think Rafinha could have potentially had some points in there for our FPL teams, but I still think Villa will win though, and I went with a 2-1. I think Villa will edge it. Villa are just playing so well now. And they have, Matty Cash one side. They have Digne on the other. Coutinho's, started well and could be utilized even more. Diaz looking really good now. They just need to make sure that they have somebody up front who's going to continuously put the ball in the back of the net, which they've struggled to do with Watkins. I think Ings kind of brings that a little bit, but injuries have held him back a little bit this season. Liverpool versus Leicester. Now, this one, even though title of the stream is Liverpool delay or Afcon delays Liverpool, I still think that Liverpool win this one. I think Leicester, they don't have Vardy for another 4 weeks, I think it is. I think they also have a few more injuries as well. James Justin is back, which will help them out, but I just think Leicester, they're just too poor defensively. They're going to try to, play somewhat expansive football. They're going to try to hit Liverpool on the counter, but as Liverpool being one of the best teams in transition, it's probably not going to go down well for them. They're also at Anfield as well, so we'll see. Leicester, typically when they try to park the bus, they don't do well. What was it? Only a couple weeks ago, they were up. They were up 2-1 versus Spurs, and then conceded 2 goals in the last couple of minutes. I went with a 3-1 in this one. I think Leicester will probably get a goal, but I still think Liverpool comfortably win this one. And then Wolves versus Arsenal. A lot of people going on the Arsenal hype train. I've never been fully convinced. I think when they go up against a team that's very well organized and knows what they're doing, Arsenal just get completely outplayed for the most part, or a team that just has more firepower than them. So like United, when we played them, 3-2 was the scoreline, was hectic, but United probably deserved to win the game, all things considered. They played against Burnley, who are very well organized, struggled to score, although they probably should have, given the chance that they had. Wolves, they played against United and they played us off the park, so I think they're going to do that versus Arsenal. It also is at Molineux as well, and I think it's just going to be another Wolves special. Wolves getting a goal and then keeping a clean sheet. I think that's what's going to happen. Wolves tend to do it versus the traditional Big Six teams, and they do it on a consistent basis. So I think Wolves are definitely going to do it over Arsenal, which doesn't bode well for Arsenal as well. And also, Arsenal only have 2 strikers. They have Eddie Nketiah, who wants to leave the club, and Lacazette, who's going on a free, most likely to Lyon, at the end of the season as well. So, not sure how that's going to go down with them either. Going to have to rely on the youngsters and see how it goes. Clean sheet this week. I think it's pretty... should be pretty easy this week. I'm going to go bold. I'm just going to say Wolves, to be honest. I could pick Crystal Palace versus Norwich. I could pick West Ham versus Watford. I'm going to go Wolves. I think they've been so good, and they deserve more credit than they've been given. They could easily vie for the top 4 this season, given their form. So I think I'm going to go with them for the clean sheet. For the goalkeeper, I mean, Jose Sa, I'm going to pick him just because of the fact that he's as closest to 5% as you can get. But he's been heavily underrated this season. The amount of points that he's gotten. I mean, look at this string of games here. From game week 12 onwards. 8 points, 10, 6, 3, 4, 6, 6, 5, 7. Yeah, you got one versus Brentford, but even in the games where they don't keep a clean sheet, he's still getting saves. He's still racking up bonus points. You know, he has been doing very well for himself. In defense, I'm actually going to follow that same vein as well. I'm going to go with Ait Nuri. You can't see it behind the notepad, but that's who I'm gonna go with. Ait Nuri 1.3% owned. And he's probably going to be one of my transfers this week, to be honest. Just because he's a cheap defender who is playing for a team that's keeping clean sheets. So he was injured for these 3 games, from what I remember. And he plays 90 minutes when he does play. So very, very good there. In midfield, I'm going to go for... If you want a really out there pick... I was gonna go Luis Diaz, but he hasn't played a game, and I don't even know if he's in the game. Oh yes, oh there he is. He's actually in the game now. 0.1% owned. Excuse me. Let me get a sip of water. Comes in at 8 million, so around the same price as Jota is now, even though Jota started at 7.5. One thing to note though is the fact that in the last 3 years or so, he's only played 1 game out on the right. So he is basically a backup to Mane at the moment and potential future replacement for Sadio Mane. As in 18 months, Mane, Firmino, and Salah are all out of contract. So one to keep an eye on. But maybe he makes his debut. Maybe he comes straight in. So let's go for it. So we'll go Diaz for Liverpool as they play Leicester. You want to go for a really bold pick. That could be a one-off differential. Maybe you're wildcarding in 25 because you want a bench boost in 26. Here you go. Here's a nice little differential pick for you. And then in the forward line, somebody who I'm probably going to be bringing in this week as well. He's 5.5% owned, so he's over the differential mark, but we're still gonna go with him because he is close. Is Odsonne Edouard, 5.5% owned. He's been fantastic when he's played. 4 goals, 2 assists in the last 4 matches that he's played. Got a goal and 2 assists the last time they played Norwich in a 3-0 win. And guess who they play this week? They play Norwich again. So he could do very, very well for them. Or versus them, I should say. So, yeah, that is something to keep considering. Great fixtures up until... let me just move the notepad out of the way. Great fixtures up until the double game week where he has Chelsea and Watford, and good fixtures afterwards, barring probably the Man City fixture. And then Crystal Palace's fixtures for the rest of the season are actually very, very good. So he would be a fantastic hold, I think, assuming he gets to play week in, week out. He would also be, you know, if he plays through the middle and you have Elise one side, Zaha the other side, Gallagher, and 2 other midfielders. There's the younger kid that he's injured a lot, but he has blonde hair. I can't remember his name. Let me see if I can find it. What's his name? For some reason I want to say Murphy, but that's not it. Hughes? Is it Hughes? Will Hughes, yeah. He plays a very good holding role. And then they just need another, maybe Eze plays in the midfield too. So then you can really do some damage there. Let me put my team up here as well. I'm just going to put out the tweet, as I always do. 24 predictions and differential picks. And we'll put the Gameweek preview image on it as well to make it easy to find. There we go. Minimize that. Close that. Lovely stuff. All right. So, this is the team for this week. So, currently in the team, we obviously wouldn't have Alonso in there because he has a blank. But the team as it stands now would be Guaita in goal. We'd have Cancelo, Diaz, Trent, Rafinha, Bruno, Jota, Bowen, Calvert-Lewin, Watkins, and Dennis. Now, Calvert-Lewin is potentially injured for this coming game week. That is not good. If he has to miss out for that game, because then he would only have Leeds, and then the Southampton fixture is probably a bit tricky. And then even if he does have doubles, they're Everton. We still don't know what we're gonna get from them. So maybe I have to take him out for a hit. I don't know what's gonna happen. He is very lowly owned, but it would just kind of be bad if we took him out, and he did do well. But we'll talk about that in a bit. So Dennis would probably be the player that comes in over the likes of Smith Rowe. He's probably not going to start. And Guaita is another player that we're looking to get rid of as well. So let's take a look at the transfer screen. So the 3 players that we're looking to get rid of this week would be for -8. And we want to get the hits out of the way with, because we want to just use 1 free transfer per week if we can. This is just going to kind of quick fix things, get it done and out of the way with, kind of just rip the band-aid off fast. So Guaita would be a problem. Alonso is currently a problem, as well as Calvert-Lewin being an injury doubt just constantly is also a problem. So Calvert-Lewin might not even play this week. We'll still wait and see on that. Alonso is definitely not going to play this week, and Guaita is a potential rotation risk. So just looking over on my second monitor here, we have I have the potential price changes, and one of those players could be David De Gea, which would be someone that we'd want to bring in goal. So we have to kind of pay attention to that. Odson Edward is not close to going up yet, but also Crystal Palace play their FA Cup game tomorrow, as well as Wolves. So we will, after tomorrow, I'll know which players I can bring in for sure. But I know that De Gea didn't play tonight, so unless he gets randomly injured or something, I know that it's a safe transfer. So I'm actually going to do that right now, because 1, we're going to bring him in for the double game week, and 2, going forward, he is probably the keeper to have just because of the sheer amount of saves that he makes. And his double game week is good. So I'm going to make that transfer right now. Very rarely do you get to see me make transfers live and exclusive. So yeah, De Gea versus Ramsey. I think both are probably easily as likely to concede. Maybe De Gea slightly less. I think De Gea makes more saves than Ramsdale does typically. So I'm going to put De Gea in over Ramsdale. Ramsdale will play in the double versus Brentford and Wolves at home. I think at home Arsenal are going to be much stronger. They would also have learned from whatever they'd learned versus Wolves away. De Gea only has just the 1 fixture. In 24, look, gotta get my numbers right. 26, he only has just the 1 fixture. And then in 25, he has the double. When he plays Man City, Liverpool, and Spurs in 28, 29, and 30, Ramsdale has Watford, Leicester at home, and Villa. So potentially some decent coverage there. We can also just swap De Gea out if we wanted to for somebody on the wild card. By that time we may be wild carding. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see how things go on that one. The other transfers that I was looking to make potentially. Let me move this one across here. Would be this would be for -4 and a -8 respectively. So Alonso and Calvert-Lewin, who might not play, to bring in Edward up front and Aït-Nouri. And what this would open up is to allow us to go into for this week we would play Edward. We would play Edward instead of Calvert-Lewin. We play Aït-Nouri at home to Arsenal instead of Alonso. And that would basically be the team that we would have. Captaincy probably on Bruno or Cancelo or Bowen is probably the 3 that I'm looking at here. And that would set us up nicely going into the double game weeks. The only player we'd be missing is Salah. So the following week, we would take out Jota. We would bring in Salah because then Jota would be a rotation risk, as he is typically the one that either gets hooked or benched in most cases. Salah would come back in for sure versus Burnley for sure. Doesn't matter if he misses the last game. He's almost certainly like Afcon finishes a couple days before the Leicester game. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check that and fact check myself here. Afcon, assuming no injuries and whatnot. The last game for Afcon is on the Sunday, so you would think they'd be flying back on the Monday, which is 2 to 3 days before the Leicester game, and then for sure he'll be back on the Sunday, so it'd be a week for him to basically fly back, get back training with the team, and go. But Egypt have played a lot of minutes, so maybe it's a bench appearance, but then he's got the double game week. The easiest triple captaincy chip ever you could possibly think of, most likely him or Trent, I think, but you got to go Salah. I think he's going to be almost 300% owned. I think it's going to be mental how good that double game week is, really. So Salah would come in at 25. That'd be just ahead of the Burnley away game. Then we'd have him in 26 as well. And then also in that time, we would get rid of Bruno Fernandes, who had just finished getting his double game week. And we would bring in Sadio Mane or any other Liverpool mid that we fancied. Like if we thought that Diaz was like, let's say Mane wasn't fully fit or something, or he was going to miss out, or Firmino was going to miss out, and we knew that Jota was going to play both games, then I bring in Jota. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think Mane is a very good differential. I think he's helped Senegal win the games that they have as well. He had that like nasty head injury, which he miraculously recovered from. I don't know how. But yeah, we would bring in Mane. It would add a little bit extra spice for the team as well. Also, if we just... I'm just going to go back. So this would be our Game Week 25 team. We would have De Gea because he has the double game week. We would have... we would play both our City defenders and Trent Alexander-Arnold. We would play Rafinha away to Everton. We would play Salah. Obviously, we would captain Bruno or De Gea, to be honest. Either works. Bowen plays... Where's West Ham? Bowen plays Leicester away, which I think is perfectly fine. We'd play Watkins, who plays Newcastle away, which is perfectly fine. Edward, who plays Brentford away, which is perfectly fine as well. And then we'd also have Dennis, who plays Brighton at home. So we play a 3-4-3 with these 3 defenders, these 4 midfielders, and these 3 forwards with De Gea in goal. And then we would make the transfer for Mane, and then we'd go into the double game week. We'd have Ramsdale because he has 2 fixtures. We'd play Ait Nouri, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Cancelo. We would then also play Rafinha, who has a double, Salah, who has a double, Mane, who has a double, Bowen, who has a really good single, as they play Newcastle at home that week. Watkins, who has a very good single, versus Watford at home. So 2 very good singles. Edward, who has a double. One of his is versus Chelsea. The other one is versus Watford. So he should do decently well in those. And then Watford also has a double versus Crystal Palace and Villa. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double game week players with Cancelo, Bowen, and Watkins all playing in that one. So... and that would be for a -8 overall. And then moving after that, we could move Mane to the likes of Son, who also has a double game week. Then, if I feel that triple Liverpool just isn't worth it, or just like maybe Son's just looking that good, I could also go Son instead of Mane. Just depends. But we could do Son that the week after, and we can get rid of Johnson for Digne later on, especially if they have a double game week going into game week 27. But that's a little bit further down the road. But that's kind of the plan. So we ultimately want to end up with with this team here going into double game week 26 with the triple captaincy going on Salah. We'll have triple Liverpool. We only have 3 double game week players, 2 of which have excellent fixtures in Bowen and Watkins, and one of them is João Cancelo, so you just ain't gonna get rid of him, to be honest. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Yeah, I'll probably make my transfers probably before the deadline stream, just because maybe I can't. I might just do them on the deadline stream, assuming there's no crazy price changes. It was just De Gea that looked like he could potentially go up, and for good reason, because in Game Week 25 he has he has a double that could come through. But let's actually take a look at Game Week 25. We'll take a look at the fixtures here. So the only game that was put in here for a double game week was Manchester United versus Brighton. Now, normally this would be a very good fixture for United. You would think 2 home fixtures, maybe a triple captaincy on Ronaldo. Definitely a captaincy choice here for Man United. If you have, potentially there's a City asset that could do just as well versus Norwich than United versus Southampton and Brighton. Southampton and Brighton can frustrate. Southampton, however, have conceded a boatload of goals to United in single fixtures before in recent memory. So that is also something to consider. I think the most active player out of all United players, especially like versus Middlesbrough tonight, was definitely Bruno. I thought Bruno in the first half, and as well as Paul Pogba, but more actively Bruno in terms of like goal scoring chances. Bruno was getting in the box a lot. So yeah, even when he plays number 8, he's always very active and getting involved. And Pogba, I think, actually was fantastic tonight. Coming back to fitness from a long-term injury. It's a shame he couldn't stay on the pitch longer. Also should have had an assist. Not obviously it's the FA Cup, so you don't get fantasy points for that. But should have had an assist. Ronaldo should have scored the penalty, and yeah, should have been United's game to clean up and make easy, but they made hard work of it, and then ultimately lost their place in the next round. But I think both fixtures are fine. I think a captain is definitely worthy in this fixture. I think the only rival to it is probably Liverpool and City, but both away fixtures, City should beat Norwich by quite a lot. Liverpool should do decently well versus Burnley, but again, how fit will Mane and Salah be? Who knows? We'll see. But I think United, Ronaldo or Bruno as your attacking options. De Gea is probably your best defensive option for captain. I think I'm probably just going to go with Fernandes in this one. I would only have him or De Gea, so but yeah, I think that would be interesting there. In terms of the other single game week fixtures, Aston Villa, very good fixture. Man City, very good fixture. It's all to play for Brighton and Watford here. Watford needing 3 points every game as best they can. Newcastle are going to be up against it. Leeds are also going to have a tough game as well. Everton, first game at home, I believe. That would have been for Frank Lampard at Goodison Park. Brentford versus Palace could be a very exciting game as well. That could be very interesting. West Ham versus Leicester. Leicester potentially looking to spoil the party. Wolves are going to make Spurs work. So hopefully Conte's got his team drilled and raring to go. Now, the big exciting announcement was that the double game week fixture in 26, and it's multiple fixtures at that. So originally we were going to have just the normal set of fixtures. A lot of fixtures on the Saturday. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fixtures on that day. 6 of which are all being played at the same time. Some big guns in there. Liverpool versus Norwich. Chelsea versus Palace. Arsenal's playing in there. City Spurs immediately to follow. So double game weeks for a bunch of different teams. And those teams are... Arsenal have a double game week. They play Wolves at home and Brentford at home. Liverpool have probably the best double game I think I've ever seen versus Leeds at home and Norwich at home. You're not going to get better than that. Norwich are bottom of the table, or one of the teams down in the bottom of the table. They were last for a long time. I don't know if they still are. And Leeds, one of the worst defenses in the league for transitional counterattacks. Fantastic game week. Leeds have a double game week, probably one of the worst double game weeks you could have, versus Man United at home and Liverpool away. Wolves have a double game week. Arsenal away probably should be. They could manage it in that one. And then Leicester at home. I think Wolves should probably be thinking we should be beating these guys. Crystal Palace have a decent double game week. Watford away and Chelsea at home. Chelsea at home could be quite difficult, but you never know. Chelsea might slip up. One thing to also note in this one, if you're thinking of Conor Gallagher as a double game week player this week, he is not, because he is on loan from Chelsea. Therefore, he will not be able to play in the Crystal Palace versus Chelsea fixture. Therefore, he does not have a double game week. He only has a single game week versus Watford. So just keep an eye on that. So if you do have him, he's probably still considered a good single game week player as well. So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't go selling him, to be honest, if that's what you're asking, because he does have a very good single game week versus Watford. So, and double again for Watford, another team. They play Aston Villa away and Crystal Palace at home. Burnley with one of many doubles to come. Spurs at home, Burnley away, and then Spurs with a few doubles for them to come in the future as well. City away, Burnley away. So those are the 8 teams that have doubles. Spurs, Burnley, Watford, Palace, Liverpool, Leeds, Arsenal, and Wolves. Now, what do I think of these doubles? I think Liverpool's is by far the best. I think Wolves is potentially underrated because they could give Arsenal problems, and they should be beating Leicester at home, in my opinion, the way that they're playing. Spurs, pretty much the same as Palace. One very good fixture versus Burnley and Watford, respectively, and one bad fixture, City and Chelsea. Leeds has a terrible double game week versus United and Liverpool, but I think Rafinha is going to be one that you're just going to have because he's Rafinha, and he can do something at least. Liverpool, he might have a bit more chance, I think. I mean, he could score versus United as well, but because again, that's a rivalry in itself, Leeds versus United. So that could be an interesting one. I think Watford's double game week is not too bad. Crystal Palace at home, they probably think they could potentially get something. Villa away will be a tough ask though. And then Arsenal's double, I think, is very good as well. Brentford at home, Wolves at home. They should be looking at potentially at least a draw out of that one. They should be trying to keep for a clean sheet in both, considering they're at home. I think the Arsenal-Wolves game could easily be 0-0 or 1-0 Wolves. The Brentford game, I think they should do well. Considering they lost to Brentford on the opening day of the season, they should be looking to get a victory at home versus Brentford. But, yeah, so that's how the fixtures roll out for Game Week 26. So I'll have 8 Game Week players, double Game Week players in that one. And the only single Game Week players is I'll have Bowen at home to Newcastle, I'll have Watkins at home to Watford, and I'll have, who's the last one in the team? I can't remember. It would be, Cancelo, right. Cancelo at home to Spurs. So at least they're all home fixtures. City should be beating Spurs, you would think, although they have had trouble with them in the past, in cup competitions at least, under Pochettino's reign, but we shall see. So, yeah, interesting double game weeks. We expect a Burnley versus Villa double game week fixture to come in here somewhere, basically, which would give Villa a double game week versus Brighton and Burnley, and then Burnley a double game week versus Palace and Villa. So something to keep an eye on as well. And then further down the road, this is also, blanks in here as well, with the likes of I think it's this is Chelsea and Liverpool don't play in Game Week 27. That is for the Carabao Cup final. So that's another thing that we also have to consider with this team. I would not have I would not have Trent Alexander-Arnold. I would not have Mo Salah. I would not have Sadio Mane. I also wouldn't have Emile Smith-Rowe as well, because Arsenal do not play in this game week either. So I'm just trying to think who's the other team that wouldn't play. So it's Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. I don't know off the top of my head who doesn't play in this game week. It's not Newcastle. It's not Burnley. Norwich, no. Can't remember. Let me bring up the FPL table off to the side, or the Premier League table. So City plays, Liverpool doesn't. So it's Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton plays, Spurs play, Leicester, that's who it is. So it's Leicester, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. All have blanks in game week 27. That's because that's their respective opponents for the Carabao Cup game. And Leicester have a lot of games to make up too, so something to also keep an eye on as well. Probably the only thing that could rival a Salah double game week is potentially a Leicester triple game week, so we shall see. Then, here's the real big kicker right here. This is what's going to tell us. We're going to know a lot more before the start of game week 28 as to who will be blanking in this game here. So, these games here. So, I'm going to pull up the FA Cup fixtures up on the side here. So, since United got knocked out, Liverpool, I believe, are still in... are Liverpool still in the FA Cup? Yes, they play Cardiff. So if Liverpool were to get knocked out by Cardiff randomly, United and Liverpool's fixture would stay in this game week. Another team that has also been knocked out of the FA Cup, I'm trying to think, is, well, one of Norwich or Wolves will get knocked out because they play each other. So that is one to keep an eye on. Brentford also play Everton. So if Brentford go through, that means they're more likely to have this fixture versus Leicester moved into 36. So I believe Watford's already out. Watford is already out, which would mean that Everton versus Watford would definitely stay. But I think there's still games to be played in a week or so's time as well for the FA Cup, or a couple weeks time. But basically, before game week 28's deadline at the start of March, we should know what the kind of landscape is for this blank game week. So there's only going to probably be 4 fixtures in it. So basically, if you or your opponent are through to the FA Cup, like 5th or 6th round, whatever it is, you will be fine. You'll be in. And that will force your fixture to be blanked, and therefore it'll be moved to 36 most likely, or another convenient time, basically. Which will result us in probably only having like 4 fixtures. And typically the good teams go through. So you would expect Chelsea to go a decent way. You would expect Liverpool to go a decent way. Same as City, which will probably mean that City and Brighton will get moved. Norwich and Chelsea will get moved. Liverpool and Man United will get moved, so on and so forth. So, just something to consider. But yeah, so this is the team as it stands now. We'll run over it one more time, as well as the transfers that we're going to probably do after the FA Cup games tomorrow, most likely. So, we made one transfer already this week. That's David De Gea in for Guaita. We have João Cancelo, Ruben Diaz, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Alonso will probably be out for Dennis at the moment, but he will most likely be replaced by Ait Nouri, who has Arsenal at home. Rafinha, Fernandes captain, maybe Bowen captain, but we'll see. Jota, Bowen, Calvert-Lewin, who's probably going to be replaced by Odsonne-Edouard, Ollie Watkins, and then we'll have Dennis, Smith-Rowe, and Johnson on the bench. So a very non-playing bench for the most part. Excuse me, Smith-Rowe not starting very many games recently, but having an impact off the bench quite a lot. So see, 19, 8, 12, 24, did play 76 minutes not too long ago, but scored in 3 bench appearances in game week 17, 18, and 19. So one to keep an eye on there as well. Yeah, looking good. And for Smith Rowe versus Bowen, Watkins, or Cancelo, he has a double game week, but the likelihood is will he even start in both? Potentially not. So again, I could get burnt with him being on my bench, but I think that Bowen's fixture versus Newcastle is just so good. I think Watkins' fixture at home to Watford is just so good, and I think that Cancelo is Cancelo. So even if he's playing Spurs, don't think it really matter. So yeah, what the team's probably going to look like is Alonso and Calvert-Lewin are going to come out, and we're going to bring in the likes of Ait-Nouri as a budget defender. We're going to bring in Edouard up front. This sets us up for some double game week players. We'll play Ait-Nouri, Trent, Cancelo, Diaz, Rafinha, Jota, Fernandes, Bowen, Edouard, and Watkins in a 4-4-2 with De Gea in goal. The next game week, we'll get rid of Jota. We'll bring in Salah because he'll be back and ready to go. We'll then play De Gea, who has a double. We'll then play Trent, Cancelo, and Diaz. We'll then play these 4 midfielders here with the captaincy on Fernandes, with Watkins, Edouard, and Dennis up front. Then we will get rid of Fernandes, bring in Sadio Mane, bring him in. Triple captain Mo Salah in 26. We will play Ait-Nouri, will play back 4. Ait-Nouri, Trent, Cancelo, back 3, sorry. Ait-Nouri, Trent, Cancelo, Diaz, and Johnson will be on the bench. We'll play Ramsdale as a double. We'll play Rafinha, who has a double. Same as Salah and Mane. Bowen is a great single. Watkins is a great single. Edouard and Dennis, who have doubles. Unfortunately, Smith Rowe will be on the bench with a double, but I just don't see him playing more than 100 or so minutes, 110 minutes. Across both games, so he may start one, go 60 to 70 minutes, and then he might come off the bench for another one for 20 to 30 minutes. So, but I think Bowen full 90, Watkins full 90, or Cancelo full 90 is probably better than that. So that's what we're going to be looking to do. I'm just going to make sure, because the FA Cup fixtures tomorrow are like, like Palace play tomorrow as well as Wolves, so I just want to make sure that obviously Ait-Nouri and Edouard get through that. If Edouard for whatever reason isn't fit, then we might go for Weghorst, who plays for Burnley. He will also have a double, not as good of a double. I think he plays Spurs and Brighton, I want to say. Most likely going to have doubles in game weeks to come as well, because Burnley and Leicester have so many games to make up. So he could be quite good value going forward. And maybe when Watford runs out of doubles, maybe Dennis will make way for him. But we'll look to get probably Son after in game week 27, because we'll have 4 blanking players. So we'll probably get rid of Mane, because we don't want, triple Liverpool, because of their fixtures afterwards aren't the best, basically. We'll still want Salah, we'll still want Trent, because that's who they are. And then maybe we'll look to bring in Liverpool players, triple Liverpool again towards the end of the season. So yeah, that is going to do it for this one. Let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout one more time before we sign off. So, if you haven't done so already, check out Fantasy Football Scout. It's in the About section if you're watching here on Twitch. If you're watching over on YouTube, it's down in the description below. Use the link down in the description, and you can get access to the Fantasy Football Scout membership. They usually have a preseason offer, which is £20. It's normally $25 during the regular season, but you still get the same content, the same access to all the different stats tables and different graphs and heat maps and all that sort of stuff that you normally would, no matter what price you pay. It's going to help elevate your FPL game, so make sure to check that out as well. Now, without further ado, let's move over to the big screen. And that's going to do it Liverpool delayed by Afcon. Salah and Mane are going to probably be back, not for the Leicester game, but they will probably be back for the Burnley game, assuming no injuries as well. Klopp's probably going to tell them, don't go into 50-50s, we need you back. But they have more coverage than what they did before. They have Minamino, who's been doing well. They have Jota, and they have the new signing Diaz as well, so who we've had as one of our differential picks. So, Liverpool probably going to get some players back, and they are still not too far behind City. Some might say that the title race is already over, but Liverpool could potentially claw it back. But City are on a bit of a roll at the moment. They were on I think they had their 13-game streak snapped. They won like 12 or 13 games in a row, something like that. But Liverpool should be full strength back coming to game week 25. And we'll see how much they're affected versus Leicester. But make sure to like, subscribe, follow us here on Twitch, follow us over on Twitter, subscribe, share, bell notifications, all that good stuff. This has been the Game Week 24 live stream, and we'll catch you for the next stream on Monday. It's going to be, I'm going to try to do it around 7:30 p.m. EST. That's going to be for the deadline stream, and we'll set it as a premiere over on YouTube an hour before the FPL deadline. So make sure to come check us out for that, or watch it over on YouTube when it does premiere over there. So thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.